disclaimer, this is a part 2 of my opening from last week. So if you'd like to avoid spoilers or confusion, you'll just have to go back one episode and listen to that opening. Listen to the whole episode while you're at it. It's a doozy. Then come on back. But if you love spoilers and stories that begin in the middle, this is right where you belong. Last week I told you to remember the word neck-boned. Still remember it. Where we left off, I had just said goodbye to my first ever Tinder date because he was coming on a little strong. He liked the way your girl tastes. But a month had gone by and he said he'd be waiting, and I love being chased, so I reached out. He answered right away. He was sustucked to hear from me, and my vagina tingled like it was waking up from a 10-month nap, and birds were chirping, and bitches is singing out the window. There goes the boy with whom she met on Tinder. His dick was big and he was nice. We agreed to find a day this week that worked for both of us. Well, Tuesday was the day that worked for me because Tuesday I was appearing on the Rachel Ray show. That's right, me and my I'm going through a breakup box dyed red hair were going to be bra modeling for all the world to see. Don't box dye your hair red if you're going through a breakup, especially if it's a breakup from a boy. Ugh. Black always looks sexy, though, if you gotta scratch that itch. When you appear on the Rachel Ray show as a bra model, it's great for confidence, let me tell you. I texted New Zealand. I told him I was in Midtown and I had no problem coming to Hoboken. He agreed that that was a great idea and we would meet at this dive bar right off the train because we both love dive bars. He was at his sister's place. If you remember, he had a sister that lived in Newark, New Jersey, so he planned on making his way from there to me. This is amazing. I look great because of all my TV makeup. Holy shit, they put so much makeup on you when you're on TV. I was feeling good because I was about to get banged, and they let me keep the bra. Jackpot, baby! I get off the train, inside this dive bar, and I order a vodka soda. To be honest, this was the before times when I didn't know my real drink of choice was silver tequila and soda. All these years, it was like throwing shitty gas in my party mobile when this engine thrives on diesel. And diesel is tequila. I make friends with the wife of a darts league player, and I lament to her about how I, too, will also be a wife one day, and my future husband was on his way. I got me and her matching #1 wives mugs off Amazon and confabbed with her on the struggles of being a working mom and a full-time dart wife. A problem for future me, I'm sure of it. After about an hour, New Zealand said he was on the train and he should be there within the next 45 minutes. My new best friend had to leave because the dart match was over and the bar was not equipped with one of those punching machines for her husband and his friends to exercise their toxins healthily, so I moved on to befriending the bartender while I waited. I'm approaching the option for a third round. That felt dangerous. Do I want to be 3 vodkas deep before I spend the night as a tasting menu? I look down at my phone. It's approaching 10 o'clock. Where the fuck is this kid? I texted again. He responded that he was so sorry and he's doing the best he could, but the train is so delayed, starting and stopping. Now the side of my stomach is wet. I've started to sweat so much that it is dripping down my sides. It was like I just got picked last for volleyball, and as I'm running over to my team who doesn't want me, I trip on my face and the back of my pants is covered in period blood. That's the level of embarrassment that was creeping in on me. He's standing me up. Me and Dave, the bartender, weigh the facts, and all the facts turned out to that's what was happening. I start my 3rd drink, and the text stopped being answered. Dave pours me a 4th drink and a shot, and we do it together. He wrote New Zealand is an asshole on the chalkboard outside and charges me $0.00 for my tab, and I head back home. The next week, I was out with 3 of my girlfriends, and I tell them everything. But not from a sad perspective, from a confused one. We liked each other. There was something there. I'm not making this up. He was even more into me than I was into him, and now I'm the one that stood up. And as I just spewed this story out with even more details because it was 4.5 years ago, my friend Lauren looked at me and said, I love you, but none of this is adding up. Sacre bleu. From there, the 4 of us went to work with 3 pitchers of sangria and a reverse Google search. We found everything we were looking for. New Zealand was a criminal, a con artist, In fact, he wasn't from New Zealand. He was from Hollywood, Florida. He didn't live in Hoboken. He lived in Bushwick. He didn't work for the government. He served time for fraud in a government-run facility. Your girl got had. I felt so dirty. I felt so used. I felt so traumatized. He would date women and then drain them or a loved one of theirs for tens of thousands of dollars. And the day we went on the date wasn't even his birthday. I texted him the next day and I said, "Why did you ghost me?" His response was, "I didn't ghost you. I had about 40 seizures. I just got out of the hospital yesterday." "Oh yeah? Did the seizures restore your American accent?" "What?" "Save it. I know everything down to the last city you got arrested in. Fuck your life." I didn't say fuck your life, but I did say whatever the 2017 equivalent was because I'm relevant. Bing bong. That was the last time I ever spoke to New Zealand. Neck-boned. I asked you to remember the word neck-boned because that's what my dad, whose birthday was last week, calls getting catfished. He calls it getting neck-boned. I got neck-boned, Dad.
Time for
Duh.
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello! Did you have a sexy little week? I sure did. I saw Scream last night, and that was incredible. I hate spoilers and people who spoil movies, so all I will say is, okay, I like that. Ooh, different. Double different. Suspiciously hot for that profession. I love that choice. Oh, hey. Hey now. Hey. Yes. Biracial supporting characters. Representation does matter. Oh, okay. Twist. Violins in the inside of my soul. Scary. Jumpy. Random. Are we going to talk about that? Okay, we aren't going to talk about that. Sick ass ending. I left a very satisfied Scream fan. After the movie, which I attended with my Corona. Corona stands for Colin, Rocky, Natalie. We've been calling ourselves that way before the vid. After the movie, we were kind of doing that in-between thing where we didn't have a plan to go anywhere, but also weren't quite ready to say goodbye. So we did a pop-in at our friend Scott and Anthony's. I'm not going to tell you where Scott and Anthony live, because I don't want you rolling up on my goddamn friends. But we did, and we had this whole plan to prank them and ask, what's your favorite scary movie? Classic Scream-ism. And then bang on the window. I asked Colin if he had a voice changer, as if that was a thing people who aren't Skeet Ulrich carry around. And as we were laughing and dialing and I'm preparing my voice, the blinds come flying up and we jump out of our skin and scream. They got us. We went to scare them, but they got us. Then we went in for an hour and a half of some best friend belly laughs, and Anthony gave me my Secret Santa gift, which was a fine piece of art that captured my total essence. So thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Scott, for being you. I've decided to stop saying dating in your 30s is so hard. That narrative stops yesterday. I have an energy that's light and fun and ready to have a good date. It's not hard. Not having energy makes things hard. Not having a spirit makes dating hard. I'm still holding on to like 95% of my collagen, and my ass has never been bigger. Dating is not hard right now. It's got its challenges, sure. What are the rules? Who texts? How many days in between? When's the right time to bang? Too soon? Not soon enough? What are the mutual expectations and limitations while my panties are precipitating? I mean, it's not hard, but if it is it my job to fix that right now? Meta. I struggle because I live a very if it's meant to be, it will be lifestyle. But then if it doesn't go the way I want it to go, I'm pissed. I had to call a plumber because on Friday night I dropped a little glass bottle of facial serum in the toilet as it was flushing. And I tried to grab it and I just wasn't fast enough. Ugh! The next day the water's rising when we flush and it's not going down. But then it would go down. This is obviously going to be a future problem. I got a call, so I call. In the most New York City exchange of all time, I speak with the owner of a plumbing company for exactly 30 minutes where he told me his entire life story. Well, the highlights. All because I told him my name was Rocky, and he said, "You don't sound like a Rocky." And I said, "Actually, I sound exactly like a Rocky because I am the Rocky." Well, the other Rocky. She Rocky. He must have thought he was a guest on the pod because I got every detail. I didn't mind. He gave me a great price for the job that needed to be done and sent someone in 20 minutes, which was shorter than the story he told me. Good looks, Eddie. This got me thinking, what if there was an exchange dating service? I need a plumber, but that plumber needs someone to, I don't know, wash his clothes and fold them and put them away. And that's what I can offer him. Okay, so we swipe and help each other out. Maybe a hookup happens or maybe a righteous makeout. Either way, you both win. Trademarking it now and calling it I've Done Worse. I'm feeling really unbelievably excited about the Super Bowl halftime show. It's starting to consume me. The excitement infiltrated my dreams. I dreamt I was at a high school football field where the halftime show was being performed. I saw Eminem and Dr. Dre talking, so I approached them. No one stopped me as I got closer and closer to these living legends. And then I said, "Don't freak out. Play it cool." "Hey, Dr. Dre, no one could ever forget about you." He responded, "Shut up, you're corny." Perhaps he detected sarcasm, though I was not being sarcastic. He walked off and Eminem took a picture with me. Now I've walked around with this feeling that Dr. Dre is mad at me all day. And I'm sure in the parallel dream I like to think Dr. Dre also had with me in it, where I interrupted him and Eminem while they were trying to figure out why they were performing the halftime show at a high school. He was just caught off guard. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. I have two that I'd really like you to think about. Number one, if dogs could talk, would you think they were clingy? Number two, have The Rock and Tony Robbins ever been seen in the same room together? My guest today is comedian Lexie Grace. Lexie is not only hilarious, talented, and well-liked, she is also a pillar of positivity. It was such a pleasure talking to her. By the end of our conversation, both on and off mic, I had an entire page of her hot tips and life hacks. Her wild word was searching, but you won't have to look far for her amazing story. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Wild Nights with Rocky, on Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. You can also watch and subscribe on YouTube, where I have extended interviews with all of my guests. A big thank you to everyone who's left a review on Apple Podcasts, and a future thank you to all of you who are going to leave one after this episode. It really does make a difference. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Lexie Grace. Lexie, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me here. At first, I was a little nervous because I only have I feel like I have more wild days than nights.
That's okay too.
I feel like all my days are pretty not all my days, thank God. Not all my days, but I have a lot of days that are just crazy.
Well, I'm excited to hear whichever wild day, night story you are going to tell. And I'm excited because so we're recording this in the evening, and all day long, I've been kind of buzzing because I try to be a very positive person as best I can. Of course, I'm not perfect, but I try to be as positive as possible. But you are truly like the living, breathing, day-to-day positive beam. Like your energy is contagious through the airwaves on stage. I'm excited to suck up some of your energy today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm all about positive vibes. Like I definitely am always wanting to put out positivity for sure. It's important to me because I feel like we live in like a world where it's like there's so much, especially in today's time, where it's like there's so many things that are like valid, stressful, but it's like how can we spin it so we don't have to stay in like that dark energy, because it's like really there are a lot of bad things happening, but it's also like how can we make the best of it, right?
Yes. So we have to be here anyway. We have to make the best of it. It's even as simple as like energy, right? Energy is so contagious. Today I was walking through, it sounds like I'm about to say alleyway, and technically yes, it was an alleyway, but it was a very well lit, very spacious open alleyway that I have to walk through if I want to take a shortcut. So I was walking through it, and this guy was doing a 3-point turn. And I wasn't on my phone or anything. I was just walking with my bag, and he's doing a 3-point turn, and he looked like a curmudgeon. That doesn't mean he was one, but he looked like he could be on team curmudgeon. And he was annoyed because he was waving me to go because he knew it was going to take him a minute to 3-point turn. And I was annoyed that I could feel how annoyed he was, but I said to myself, I go, just flip it. Just give him a wave, give him a smile, and walk a tiny bit faster in front of his car. And when I did that, he gave me like the tiniest wave and smile, but you could tell that he was ready to be like, oh, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's amazing how there was like, I had in my head during pandemic, I've been like jump roping outside of my house. So I had made this guy in my head, like I thought he was like the enemy because he liked to like smoke on the corner. And I was like, out of all the corners in the world, he smokes on the one that I'm trying to jump rope on.
Yeah.
And so I would get like really upset. But then one day I was like, like you said, like, it's like, how can I flip this moment? And so I started waving to him. Turns out like the guy was like pretty lonely. So then I ended up making like a new friend named Vlad that like he'll like come over, and now he doesn't like smoke on the corner so much, but he'll like come by, say hi, and then he was like, can I try? And so it's like, it is amazing how I think so often when you do extend like a little bit of kindness, people tend to reciprocate because they're not used, or they're caught off guard. They're like, they're
I was just going to say the same thing. It almost like gives them permission to put their defenses down, to put their guard down.
Yeah.
I love it.
100%.
100%. And so I guess what we're trying to tell the listeners is that we would like to invite them all to change their perspective. Your invite was Lexie's wild word. So Lexie, give us your wild night story. Invite.
I love it. I love how you do the opening. I love
it. Thank you.
So this was a couple years ago, pre-pandemic. I was going to San Francisco to do some shows. I had finished like my normal show, and it was like, and it's cool. I didn't know, at the time I didn't know many people in San Francisco. I only knew like the booker, and then I knew that was it, just the booker. And so
I mean, out of all the people to know, that's the best one to know.
But I didn't know anybody else. So during the day I was going by myself, and the first night I was there, I had met some audience members, but they seemed a little bit like very tipsy, and I was like, okay, I don't want to go. I don't want this to be the adventure that I have, where it's like, I'm in a new, so I was just like, so the next night I was like, okay, I'm going to find something to do at nighttime so I can like see what the city is. So the show I have that night is it's a private party. It's also it's kind of borderlining on a corporate gig.
Had you done many private party gigs before, or were you just starting to get your feet wet?
I was just starting to get my feet wet in the terms of like private parties. Like I had done a few before, but not like this. This was very different because this was one of those private parties where it was I would almost go as far as to say it was a surprise party, not necessarily for the host, but the guests, because they did not know that there was going to be stand-up.
Oh, that's always the best time to do stand-up, isn't it?
Exactly. When people, especially because for this gig, it was like the boss's birthday, so it was a bunch of employees, so they couldn't leave. Like it's a hostage situation at this point. Like, it really is like, it was like the boss wants stand-up comedy, so everyone's gonna have to watch stand-up comedy.
My guess is that this is a party that probably started around 7 p.m. and probably had cocktails flowing, great food, and then all of a sudden they say 9:30 the stand-ups are coming on.
So that would actually be better. This was, but you were right about like time. So it started maybe a little bit 6. They had the stand-up start at 7.
Oh.
They withheld the food from the people and the cake.
Oh my God.
So they hate me right now, right?
Yeah,
like they're like
starving. Yeah.
They're starving, they're upset, they just want to go. I don't think they even really like their boss because of some of the crowd work like that we were doing, that we're like, oh, it's blah blah blah's birthday, and they were like, done.
Mm-hmm.
And so that being said, the boss and his girlfriend were the only ones that enjoyed it, and it was like a tech company, so there was about like, I would say like there was like maybe 60 to 80 people crammed in a very like in a very nice San Francisco apartment, because they actually extended it where it was like, they also, now that I'm thinking about it, they also were viewing it from like 2 rooms. So it was like the main room, which was like the living room.
Okay.
And then there was like a dining room, but it kind of didn't have like a super big like door.
Gotcha. So it was almost like you kind of had to peer through.
Exactly. So we've got like all these people, and then it's, again, they didn't sign up for stand-up. So I totally understand. They're hungry.
Was there places to sit, or were people like leaning on couches? And
no, they had chairs, but like I was literally standing next to the refreshments. So like what their freedom was like right next in their eye, like in their eye line. So they were like, oh, the cake. So I get like 2 laughs from the whole crowd, not including the boss, and then other than that, they're like done with me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, it's my last night in San Francisco. Want this to be fun. There's one person in the crowd that's like, they've been smiling at me the whole time, and my friend, the booker, introduces me to the person, and they're like, oh, this person works for I don't want to give the name of the company away.
Oh, give us a fake name. We protect the innocent and the not so innocent here. Okay, so if you want to give us a fake name, we roll with that.
So let's call it Poultry Sounds.
Poultry Sounds. Got it.
So they work for Poultry Sounds, and Poultry Sounds is very popular. I knew about it actually before this day, like before the day and the story. Because I actually had, they're a company that essentially they do concerts in people's houses.
Gotcha.
So they were working with my friend to see if they wanted to do a collaboration. And so so he was like, oh, she works at Poultry Sounds. She's here to scope out the thing. So I'm talking to her, and she tells me, she's like, hey, do you want to go with me later tonight to go see another band? You were great, like blah, blah, blah. This is just like a weird. And she was like, I don't know anybody here. You don't know anybody here. Like, let's go. Like, as far as like the party. So I was like, oh yeah, I would love to go with you to go see this music. Like, I didn't even know what type of music.
Let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Right. So this is in in San Francisco, they have these huge hills, right?
Yeah, everywhere you look.
Exactly. So it took me a second. Yes, everywhere you look. So we're starting on the top of the hill, right? And on the top of the hill, she works for Poultry Sounds. Like, by the time we start making it to the middle of the hill, she's an assistant at Poultry Sounds. She's by the time we make it down the hill, she is actually just a volunteer for Poultry Sounds. So she doesn't actually work at the company, right?
Gotcha.
But she's like, don't worry, I got us. Like, I got you covered. We're gonna get in to the concert.
Oh my God. So the lower you got, the lower she got.
And also my understanding of the concert, because at first she was like, I gotta go check out if they're a good band. Yeah. And then we get further down the hill, I find out it's actually her ex-boyfriend's band.
I was just going to say, you're going to see her ex's band. I knew it.
Yeah, she like has no association with this company.
Her friends are done. They're like, leave him. And so she has no one to go see this band with. Oh my God.
Exactly. So so now I'm like, oh no, this is not gonna end well. Yeah. But like we're already 2 hills away from like where we started. So I was like, I can't, and like I didn't want to go back to the corporate event where I had like just like kind of like bombed and everyone hated me and there was not really. So I was like, I don't really not that, so I was just like, well, better stick with the person that I'm currently with than like go back to the awkwardness of like, hey,
absolutely,
it's me again. Aren't you guys all happy now that we get cake? We should do the set again.
Doing another set.
Yeah, exactly. So it's her boyfriend. So now I have so many questions in my head. I'm like, did they end well? Did they end bad? Like what is waiting for me? Did she buy these tickets? Is this really, like what, like I'm trying to process all these
but
things.
You knew the answer in your heart of hearts. You probably knew the answer.
I did. But then I also love watching something. I love watching something just go downhill. Just like course. How we had literally, I was like, okay, let's see the show, right? So we get to the box office, right? She gives her name. She's like, okay, I'm here. I'm picking up 2 tickets.
Yeah.
She gets there. The show is sold out. So she had a ticket. He had put a ticket in her name.
None for you.
But none for me, obviously.
None for Gresham Wieners.
Yeah. So now she's like, oh no. Like, she's like, I'm going to make this happen. Don't worry. So she goes to the box office and she's like, there was supposed to be 2 tickets in here. There's only 1. And the person's like, they're sold out. And like, we're sold out. Like we're sold out for the day. This is it. And and then I'm like, I'm thinking like, well, I don't know. I'm just thinking, well, I guess it was a nice walk, right?
I tried. Yeah.
I tried. She's like, no, we're going to get in there. So she goes to the box office again. She's like, there were supposed to be 2 tickets. And, we just flew in from LA. We just to see this band like this. You don't know how much this band means to our friendship. And then she starts crying, like real crying.
Oh no.
Like almost like if I would be scared if I, like she was crying in such a way that you would have thought someone had died.
Yeah.
So then the lady's like, you know what? We can let you in. Like we're at capacity, but we'll let you guys in. So then her face changes, right? Like she like starts crying. We go to the bouncer and her face changes to like from like really distressed to like a wink to me, like happy, like I did it. You just saw what I did there.
Yeah.
I did that for you. And the security guard sees. And so he's like about to stop us because he's like, oh, she just pulled like a fast one on the person that walked.
The ticket lady. Yeah.
So she grabs my hand and sprints into the venue.
Yeah.
He's chasing after us. We go into the pit so he can't find us. And now I'm like, I am in trouble. Like, this is like, I was expecting some fun kind of trouble. Yeah. Not some like, I'm going to go to jail kind of trouble.
Yeah. Or some embarrassing kick out of a concert. You don't even know what the band is.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so the concert hall, I will say, was beautiful. Like it was definitely kind of like a, it was like in the roaring 20s, like it was like tables like that. And then there's like a big pit where people are like dancing and acting and smushed together. And that's when I discovered that the music is actually brass bands that we're seeing.
Okay.
So it's like, so she's like, you see the tuba player? That's my ex-boyfriend.
Wish he'd hold me like he held that tuba.
Yeah, exactly. So we're now on this thing and she's like, what do you think? And I was like, I love it. I get like, you know, like, because
Yeah.
I know I can't leave now. Like I have to, because I have to leave with the people.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I look very distinct. Like there's no one at the place that looks like me. So I was like, the security guard will clearly ID, be like, those
Yeah,
were the
he's got his
girls.
eye out for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So he ends up, so that the band, they're opening the brass band concert.
Gotcha.
It's actually like a New Orleans brass band that's like
fun.
doing the most. Yeah, it was actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
I never had heard brass before. So it was my first time. Like, so he comes down from the audience, he finds her, and again, we don't have tickets, we don't have like anything,
Nothing.
So we're standing in the mosh pit. And so he comes down, and so now I'm like, this is gonna get interesting.
Yeah.
Like, how are they gonna interact? So they just start like making out.
Oh, now you're the third wheel.
Now in the third wheel, like if like there was a hula hoop, you could put all of us in the hula hoop.
Oh,
so like,
no,
I'm
Lexie.
in this space with them, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is. So then the next band comes on, and they're from New Orleans, and they're like amazing. Right?
Okay.
So now I've befriended the drunk women next to me.
Perfect.
Who all work in tech but are from New Orleans, that are like, that says my band, that says my band.
They like, really were like the ones who flew here to see this band.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they are seconds away from like getting naked to get some Mardi Gras beads. Like they are dancing their hearts out.
Yeah.
And so then, you know, I'm screaming at them, this is amazing. And they're like, this is amazing. Because that band was like really, really good. That band was like, the first band was okay, but this band was like next level.
That's amazing.
Like I went from not knowing a brass band to now wanting them to like play at like my wedding. Like they were that's how good this band was.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then did
they do covers, or did they do all original stuff?
They did. So basically it was a lot of originals, but then they would do like covers of songs, but with like in a new arrangement.
Gotcha.
So they did this song I had never heard called oh my gosh, it's called Casanova, I think, and it's like Casanova, da, da, da. And then they did that with like and they changed some of the words to make it sound like cooler.
Gotcha.
Like because the song originally, like Casanova, is like basically like this guy can't get this girl, but in their song it was like they got the girl, and they were like,
they flipped it.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was really good. Like I tried to get their album, but their album wasn't as like it was just a different vibe. It wasn't, it didn't have that like.
A lot of with brass music, I feel like that needs to be in person. You need to be experiencing that.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And so then the concert ended. And she kissed her ex-boyfriend, and he had to go backstage. Then we ended up walking out with like the crowd. Yeah. And then I was like, we'll never forget this night. We're gonna stay in touch. Never talk to that girl ever again.
Of course not.
And but now I can say I like brass. So that was the wild night.
Oh my God. Well, that was incredible. That was so much fun. That was like, I was with you that whole journey, because I would be the same kind of person where I would think I'm doing this fun thing with a stranger, making this friend for life, but really she's, you know, engulfing me in her drama. So I can appreciate you being a sport about the whole thing. But that is probably best case scenario.
Yeah, it was best case scenario for sure. Cause I've definitely done things with strangers before that I've gone, oh no, I need to leave.
Yeah, I got myself into a situation here.
Exactly. Where you're like, I gotta go. But that was best case scenario for sure. There was a lot of times where, again, looking back, I'm like, you know, thank God that like I didn't that like, you know, one, we didn't get stopped by the bouncer. Yeah, we didn't, like, you know, it's just interesting. because it was just really, yeah, it was just funny because I guess like next time someone tells me that they work for a company, I should check their credentials.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people make up stuff. You know what I mean? They're just not who they say they are. I mean, especially with being online, it gets worse as the years go on online. People just lie about who they are.
No, it's completely true. People are always, I mean, I it's funny. I've been watching Catfish Mexico recently.
Okay.
Which is, it's delicious. It's like
Yeah.
it's like, for me, I think it's a lot better than American Catfish because they don't necessarily, like, a lot of people only have like a WhatsApp number.
Yeah.
And so they have like very loose resources. It's not like in the United States we have so much information that like because of how our privacy laws are set up, that like we don't really have much privacy as like other countries do.
No.
And so it's pretty funny because on Catfish Mexico, they'll just be running in the street going like, have you seen this person? Like with the picture.
Ayúdame, por favor.
Exactly.
Oh my God. That's evento. Catfishing it's actually really interesting that you would bring it over to catfishing for this particular episode, because that was what my entire opening for this episode was about. Oh. It was a 2-part catfish story that happened to me. So
did you get catfished?
Yes, ma'am, she did. He was the person in his pictures, but he was not the identity he so graciously gave himself.
That, I've had multiple cases where it's either maybe the picture is correct, but it's it's a picture from a very specific point in the timeline that is not where they are currently.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, it's this person is not this, like this, it is that person, but it's not that person.
Oh yeah, that happened to me about a year and a half ago. I went on a date with a guy, and he was so cute in his pictures, but all of his pictures were from 8 years prior. Yeah, and that's fine. I don't care, but it's also kind of like, that's not the image you were presenting. Let me ask you this: are you on Tinder now?
No, I actually, because of pandemic, I have like tried to, because I had heard so many stories of people where like someone had said, oh, I don't have COVID. And then the girl found out later that person did have COVID.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was like, I don't.
Yeah. I would be cautious because you don't, I obviously pandemic, not as many dates are happening as frequently, between fear and caution and people being smart. But the reason I ask is because when you're swiping through Tinder, they do have a verified check now. So some people on it will have the verified check and some people won't. And you can make it, Tinder's actually upgraded quite a bit over the years. They've upped their game a little bit, and there's subcategories, and there's one category where you can just pick verified people. So that is a little helpful hint for when you're
I will take that pro tip. I like it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It's from the inside. It's from the inside. I'm in the trenches doing all the work for you here, Lexie.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yes. Give me more tips. I love it. Well, go ahead. No, I was going to say, yeah, it's funny though, because like I used to have like, for a while, sometimes, you probably know this, because like when you do stand up, like a lot of people, they're either like, tell me a joke, blah, blah, blah. And some days you just want to be incognito. So like I would always tell people for a really long time that I used to sell insurance.
Oh.
Because no one would ask me any questions.
Yeah.
But then one time I told someone that, and then they ended up also being an insurance salesman, like for real. Mm-hmm. And so then they were like, tell me everything you do. I never meet anybody. And then I was like, oh no.
What have I done? I don't do stand up, but I do improv. And so And so I have gotten that many times when people find out that I'm an improviser, they'll say, oh yeah, tell me something funny. And it's just so, I don't even have the words for the feeling I get when someone says that, but it's just so, you wouldn't tell somebody if someone's like, I mean, maybe some people would, if someone's like a doctor, you wouldn't be like, can you check this lump? Like, but I guess some people do have the audacity to do that. So
exactly. When I used to work at, when I was in college, I used to work at the Apple store. And my whole family was like, I've got computer issues. I was like, I'm not a genius. I sell the computers. I don't know how to fix them. Like,
yeah, you've got your phone plugged into one of the Apple chargers, pretending that you're like playing with the company's phone, but it's really your own phone.
Exactly. But yeah, it's also funny too, because like I've had it too where people are like, show, like, like, tell me a joke, and I'm always like, it's not gonna work. It really is not.
It doesn't work like that.
And I was like, even if I show you a video, because I've done that before, where I've been like, they've been like, well, at least you have a video, and then I've shown the video, and then it's just awkward because then you're watching them watch you, and then they don't laugh, and then you're like, oh well, I guess that's it.
So for anyone listening, if you meet a comedian in the wild, there is no reason to ask them to be funny. We're all on social media these days. Just go find out what they're doing. Every person is their own channel.
Exactly.
Every person is their own channel. So Lexie, I wanted to tell you how I found out that you are a person who exists in the world and who is wonderful. I'm sure you would have come up. I would have, just continuing a career trajectory in comedy, I would have met you eventually or been introduced to you eventually. But how I first found out about you is I was watching They Ready, Tiffany Haddish's special. And for anyone who doesn't know that, that's Tiffany Haddish. She's done 2 seasons of They Ready. The first season, she introduced 6 female identifying comedians who maybe have been around for a while, but they haven't gotten their big break. And then the next, she did it again, not all female for season 2, but she did it again for season 2. And one of the comedians that she had on, I think season 2 was more of her like core friends that she knew, you know what I mean? And for season 2, she had comedian Kimberly Clark on, who I was crying at all of them, and I was rewinding Tony Woods' jokes to just like hear them, just the mathematics of them. I thought he was so great. But
he's amazing.
Amazing. But Kimberly Clark, at the end, Tiffany Haddish sits in a circle with everyone, and she asks each comedian to bring up who is one person that you want to raise up, you want to make more people aware of. And Kimberly Clark mentioned you, and it worked, because that is how I immediately followed you and started following your career as it's been progressing.
Yeah, Kimberly is amazing. She is hilarious. Like I've like opened for her a few times, and she is just like, she's awesome. Like I've seen her handle some of like the rowdiest crowds and just like take hold. Like she's hilarious. And I was so she's an incredibly hard worker, and also like one of the funniest people I know. So I was like really it was really cool to see her special, and just to see like all the amazing things that she's doing and that she has done. And no, I'm very grateful for her for shouting it. I was not expecting it. And
that's what I was just going to ask. Was that something you were warned of ahead of time, or did somebody watch it or you watch it and go, oh my goodness, this is me?
Well, she had told me like a month prior. She was like, oh, heads up, I said this, but I don't think, she was like, I don't know if it's going to make it in like the show. But she was like, just so you know, I did. And I forgot about it. And then my phone started blowing up with other comedian friends that were like, hey, she mentioned you. And then, that's kind of how. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, that's so, like, it really was really nice and unexpected. And like Kimberly, like I really just, I can't wait for like more of the world to know about her. Because she's so funny. And like it was so cool that from her stand-up special, I don't know if you know this, but she was able to do like a thing for the Hollywood Bowl where she got to talk to oh my gosh, what's that composer that she's obsessed with? oh my gosh, Gustavo.
Okay.
Of the, like, he's a renowned, like, he orchestrates the Philharmonic in
dope.
LA.
Yeah.
And so she had done this joke in her special about her having like such a huge crush on him, and he reshared a clip of that on his Instagram, and it kind of like blew up in the classic world. It was like really cool.
That's amazing. See, it just takes one little thing to happen, or what the right person to hear the right thing, and then next thing you know, you've opened you're on the radar of so many more people. Social media is a wild thing.
Yeah, but she is hilarious. She's constantly writing, always so freaking funny. Like, I was really touched that she, because she knows a lot of people, so I was really touched that she gave me a shout out.
It says a lot about you too, because that's the company you keep, and I always feel like the people that you hang out with are a reflection of you, number one, or the people that associate themselves with you, that's a reflection of them. So she's obviously wanting to be associated with you, but that's kind of how you grew up. You kind of grew up with women in your family, like your mom is a stand-up comedian, and she had a group of women, you were saying, that were all Latina women, and they all did stand-up and they all stuck together, right?
Yeah, so I definitely had like a bunch of female comedians in my growing up. It was funny because when I was growing up, I actually did not want to do stand-up.
Right.
I had sworn it off. I had told like a bunch of people, like, no, I'm not, not for me.
You identified more as a writer beforehand?
Yes, a writer director. And then what happened was, after I graduated college, I could not get any work. And then I had as for writing, I could get other jobs, but like not writing work.
Not the jobs that you want and were probably wildly qualified for. Yeah.
But so anyway, I had a teacher that said, it's hard for you to go like, hey, I'm funny, read this. It's easier for people to see you're funny and then go, what do you have to read?
Yeah.
So they were right. I started doing stand-up, and then I ended up falling in love with stand-up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah. Then I was kicking myself. And I was like, yeah, you're an idiot. You should have like gotten on this train before. Cause it was so freaking, like, it's the best. Like it's essentially like why I got into comedy. And like, that's what I get, I got into comedy because I really wanted to make people happy and people smile and, brighten people's days and like
make life a little easier.
Exactly. And stand-up's like the perfect way to do that. Like, it's one of like many different ways that I can, but I started falling in love with stand-up, and then when I fall in love with something, I go like really like ham into it, and the rest is like kind of like, it's history.
Yeah. Has it been a difficult adjustment? I know obviously the face of stand-up comedy and comedy in general has kind of taken a huge pivot to the direction it was headed in before the pandemic. Have you found that you like the lane that you're in now? Do you like it a little bit more? Do you find yourself missing the before times?
That's a good question. I tend to fluctuate. Like, I feel like mostly I'm okay with where it's going now, but sometimes I do miss being like, right before pandemic, I was in New York and I got to do like some of like the coolest shows. And so it was kind of funny because I didn't know that was going to be like a farewell. Like,
you did a farewell tour.
Exactly. But like, I got to do like Butterboy and the Knitting Factory.
Nice.
And like, so it's like, I got to do like all these really cool, like huge crowds of people in the audience. And then it was like, and now we're going inside.
Bye.
Yeah. But I have to say, what's interesting is I feel, because I tend to have an addictive personality, I was able to take all the energy that I would put into stand-up, and I was like, okay, let me go back to writing, which is why I got into stand-up.
Yeah.
And kind of write more writing samples and scripts and features. So when eventually it starts getting more consistent again, I'll be back on that. And it's been good, actually. Like I've been able to do like some like digital stand-up shows, which is nice, because then it's like you meet people from different parts, and you can tour virtually to places that you normally wouldn't tour. Like I got to do so many shows in Philadelphia that was not necessarily on my list of places that I was going to go in 2020 or 2021. And that was really cool to be able to like connect to that market and like, you know, do some shows in Texas virtually. And like, just different. So that's been really cool, of like meeting people and connecting with people. And I have to say too, it's like the pandemic, it also gave me, I feel like for so often, I think we always wish for that there like to be a day between Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, more than anything.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what the pandemic was that day.
That all day.
Yeah, but for like a really long time, then we're like, okay, we don't want this anymore.
That's such a good way to put it.
Yeah. And so it just was, for me, it was like a good downtime too, because I like to organize like my material and my jokes, and like I like to kind of categorize stuff and take, you know, and it also gave me time to like get new interests and new stuff to like, okay, like these are topics that like I want, when, you know, that I'm like, oh, this is something that's been marinating in my brain, and like I feel like that's good, because from comedy, it's like there's a well that you pull from, and then you need to like you need to constantly fill it, so that there's other stuff that you can talk about that's, you know, different things. So it's like I got really into a few different online communities that are very weird.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay,
are there any, when you say weird, is it something you feel cool sharing? Like, oh, it's weird, but it's this.
I got really into like so there's like a culture around planners.
Like people who like to plan things?
Like to plan things.
Oh, sign me up.
So I got really into that. And so then I'll send you some links.
Please.
After, I promise.
I love planning stuff.
But I got really into that. So then it's interesting, because they like, for people that like to plan, they like to have these groups, but then they don't want to share anything about their planning styles, because then they're worried that like it takes away from like their awesomeness. So they'll show agendas, but they won't show like the process, or they won't show like, you'll be like, oh, where did you get those stickers? And then they'll be like, oh, it's discontinued. Like everyone's like, it's discontinued. It's
wow.
discontinued.
Oh my goodness, like, the drama in the planning community.
Exactly. And then there was like all these planning companies like that got canceled because of like some like they, you know, different things. So then people were like, yeah, I'm using these planning stickers, but like I don't associate with them, but I bought a bunch like in 2017, and like other people like it just was so weird. And then like, so I got really into that community, got really into jump rope, but like with a weighted jump rope.
Okay.
That's also like a big community that's like, it's kind of like CrossFit adjacent.
Gotcha.
Where like people are very like, jump rope every day, jump rope is life.
It's very good for you, isn't it? Jumping rope.
Oh, it is. It's the best. Like it's really good. I can't tell you how many friends I've made just by jumping outside my door, because people love to come up to me and talk to me about jump roping.
Wow.
And I got really into learning languages. You might have heard a few times I might have slipped up and actually said something in Spanish when I
I do that. I was very into Duolingo. Yeah, during the pandemic, I also got very into languages. I've been trying to learn Spanish since November of 2011. If you exclude high school Spanish, I have been trying so hard. I got a Rosetta Stone, and I would be consistent with it, and then I would stop. Consistent with it, then I would stop. Then during the pandemic, I was religious about it. Duolingo 45 minutes a day for Spanish. Then I would do there's a man on YouTube who's also named Rocky, and he teaches people Spanish.
Yes.
You know him?
Puerto Rican guy. Yes. I'm telling you, I'm so far deep that I'm like after, like, you don't understand. I'm going to explain to you like the whole community, because it's like there's like there's so many different websites. I've watched multiple different polyglots. Like, I am so far in the rabbit hole.
I love it.
Like, my friends are like, okay, enough with the Spanish. Like, so it's like I don't know. It might be my new identity now.
It was mine for a hot minute, and I have on my to-do list, of course, or my like list of the things I have 6 things that I try to do every day, but even if I don't do them, I still make a little check mark on the ones I do.
No, that's great. And then you push it off to the next. That's how you're supposed to. That's like a really big planning thing. Yeah.
I'm in the planning community. I'm telling you, but Spanish is down on there to learn. And so I do my little checks when I do it. But I started with my closest friends. We started a French club during the pandemic.
I love it.
That was fun. I wish we continued with that. And then when I was done doing my lessons, I would always watch Sin Seños de Año Paraíso on Netflix, which did you ever see it?
It's in my queue. I haven't watched it yet because I've been watching Nailed It Mexico, which is like their version of Nailed It.
Gotcha.
And Catfish Mexico.
Yes.
And Scooby-Doo in Spanish.
Well, they do say cartoons are the best way to learn another language when you're watching it on TV.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, okay, I'm going to say this very briefly because we could literally talk about this forever. But now we're getting very inside baseball. I'm going to try to keep it light for the pod because I know other people will be listening to this.
They're loyal and they're listening. You still with us, everybody? We're going here.
We're going here. But the thing is that honestly, whatever content you want to watch to do a program, even if it's like ahead of you, like even if it's like really advanced, they say cartoons because it tends to be basic. But if you're watching something advanced, it's okay to watch it as long as you genuinely are wanting to follow the storyline, because that's when your need to understand is going to help you to remember words, because you're going to be like, what is going on? Like, I really care about these characters. So that's fine. Like, if you watch that, that's fine. Because I'm just laughing at myself because I tend to go into like, I when I tell you, I commit. Like anyone who's listened to me in previous podcasts knows that like pre-pandemic, I was obsessed with frequent flyer miles because I would fly to New York from LA for like $11 round trip. So like, but I was like really like, this is how we get points. So now like, this is how we learn languages. But there's no, actually, when I say that, it's a joke, because how you learn languages is that a lot of people have done a study of where it's like, it's basically like whatever is passionate for you, like that's what you like tap into, like the language, and then you'll do it. Sorry, I'm gonna get off my soapbox about languages.
Honestly, I have to tell you, I did want to bring up your travel hacks because I know that is a part of your identity. You've talked about it many times, but I did want to tell you this with languages. So I traveled with someone for 23 days. We went to Mexico together.
That's awesome.
It was incredible. We had such a good time. The thing was, they were really good at speaking Spanish. We were at the same level probably for our Spanish, but they were really good at speaking Spanish. But I wasn't as good getting the words out. And I was better at comprehending. Yeah, when somebody would say something back to us, because we were in cities where people were really, nobody was speaking English. So we really had to get by with what we knew. And that would be, he would rattle off, blah, 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 say whatever, we need to get here, blah, 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 and get it all out. And then whoever we were asking the directions for or whatever.
You would be the one to internalize it.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say, she just said blah, 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 blah. And it was getting me to speak it confidently was a challenge. So it is good. But I heard that's two different parts of your brains.
It is. It really is. It's There's one part that's for processing and another part for speaking. And I can recommend some, again, I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna send you some stuff. I'm gonna like, now that I know that it's like you, but yeah, there's Yes, I have joined. I actually right now have a exchange partner that I speak to that's from Colombia.
Cool.
And so every day, like, we're like saying like tongue twisters or like different stuff. But yeah, I've got a list. If this was called wild learning with Rocky, I'd go on and on for hours.
Exactly. Lexie, honestly, I feel like I could talk to you for hours. So I won't take up any more of your time. This was
lovely.
This was so much fun. You're gonna hook me up with all that planning stuff, the language tips. I cannot wait to continue this conversation and friendship off screen. But for now, anybody that wants to keep up with Lexie, anybody that wants to check out her website, social media, you can go to smilelexie.com. That's Lexie. Keep your Y's. We don't need them. And then on Twitter and Instagram at SmileLexie.
Thank you. This was amazing.
Lexie, this was so much fun. We started at the top of the hill, we ended at the bottom of the hill, and it was a San Francisco treat.
Yeah, we had a whole journey. You gave me some Tinder tips.
Oh yeah.
I gave you, I'm gonna give you some Spanish tips.
Oh my God. This was great. Lexie, I really look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We'll talk soon. Bye.